So we are now on task number, I believe it's 6. Yes, 6. Task number 6. This is the direct smear for microfilaria testing for heartworm disease. So I have all of my stuff here ready. I have our purple top EDTA tube. You always want to do a EDTA tube when you're doing direct smears for heartworm. I have a pipette to transfer my sample. I have my slides, and I have my cover slips here. So what I'm going to do is, actually I'm going to get a paper towel to do this on. I'm just going to do it on a paper towel so I don't make a little bit of a mess if I do. Put my slide on my paper towel. I'm going to invert my purple top tube just a couple times. This is labeled with the patient's name, the date, species, so that we know whose it is. Uncap it. Oop, making a mess. Trying not to make a mess, and I'm making a mess. Alright, and then I just need 1 drop of the sample. Don't need too much at all. And I put the slip so that the slide so that the frosted edge is facing up. And I'm just gonna put 1 drop of blood right on my slide. Recap my slide here. I'm just gonna roll it because there's a little bit of blood on the outside of it. Don't want to make too much of a mess. Set that aside, and then I'm just gonna get 1 cover slip. Our cover slips have a tendency to stick together. It's not fun. Alright, and then what I'm going to do is just drop this right directly onto my sample. I do have a little bit of a bubble, but you can see, I tilt my camera down, that there's nice coverage, and it's pretty evenly spread across. So I'm going to lower the platform of my microscope and just set that on, and then I'm going to clean up the rest of my space here. Throw my pipette and paper towel away. Add this out of there. Alright, so I'm going to turn my microscope on, get the light going. I'm going to pick a corner, try to center it over the light. I always start on 4 so that I can get myself situated here. Okay. So with this sample and this read, you're not gonna necessarily be able to see the heartworm because they're clear for the most part, especially since we didn't dye this. What we're looking for is movement of the red blood cells that's not in the norm. So sometimes you get some movement just with the flow of the blood solution. But with the heartworm, you'll see a lot of times there's a little circular pattern, so you might get like circular motions or something like that, or some that are like wiggling all over. So that's really what we're looking for. And I'm just gonna scan through this on my 10 objective lens. And like I said, you do get some just general flow of this red blood cells here. So I just gotta make sure I'm looking beyond that for anything out of the ordinary. And I'm just gonna do this, scan the entire area under the microslip. So kind of the same way I do my fecals, I do go up, over, down, over, up, over, depending on which corner I start at. And you can get bubbles in your sample as well. I've got a couple of very small bubbles. And you just have to change the focus to get the depth of the bubble, just to make sure that that's what they are, because those can change the movement patterns for the cells around them. And we're here in New Hampshire, so we don't see a lot of native dogs come up positive for heartworm. It does happen occasionally. Most often, if we have a heartworm positive dog, they are an adoptee from down south. There's a bubble. It looks like a pig. Sorry. Just interesting. It's funny. Alright, this is my final sweep. Alright, and I'm not surprised that this dog is actually negative, not seeing any microfilariae. That does not mean that the dog does not have heartworm disease, because you can, depending on the stage of heartworm infection, you can be missing microfilariae. Usually they are present either really early, before there are adults, or later when they are breeding adults. So if they only have adults that are in the heart and they are not of a mature breeding age, then they won't have microfilariae. Or if they have a single sex infection, so if they have all females or all males within the heart, then they're not gonna be releasing microfilariae. But this dog is on, obviously, a native dog for New Hampshire that is also on year-round heartworm prevention, so not too surprised that that came up negative. If it came up positive, what I'm more looking for, and this is our laboratory urinalysis and hematology book that I like to use as a reference for different things, but this one shows a good kind of microfilariae here. So you can see, for the most part, it's relatively clear, hard to see. A lot of times you can just see it by the outline and the congregation of the red blood cells around it. And the movement of those red blood cells around it is a good indicator that that microfilariae is present. Sometimes you'll see them, they're all curled up in a ball or something like that. Sometimes, like this one, they're straight out, but wiggling. So with these slides, they're usually alive. If we were to dye the slides, you can see them a little bit better in these images. This is, again, I've used this one before, the Pfizer Atlas of Veterinary Parasitology. This is a good one that we use with our clients because they're nice big images. good and colorful so you can see the microfilaria in contrast with the red blood cells here. This is a single, this is a heavy microfilaria infection. So very good that way. Okay, and what I'm going to do now is get this logged into the computer. So I'm going to pause you for just a moment and get that set up. Okay, so here is our patient chart, a dog named Lexi. We're just going to enter in the results of our microfilaria smear. So we did a heartworm test of 4DX here, and that came up negative. So that tests for the heartworm antigens that might be floating in the bloodstream. But I'm also going to insert that we did the heartworm test, the microfilaria smear. So heartworm test, microfilaria smear, and that was negative. I'm just going to put it neg. And then insert it there, and now it's part of the record highlighted here in blue, and that should be it.